Philippines has recently announced it's going to build its own South China Sea base on, I might be mispronouncing this, but Pag-asa Island. That's further from the Philippine mainland. It's closer to the Spratly Islands, where China has its own base. What do you think? Like, what's the strategy of this from the Filipino side, and how do you think China will react to that?
Well, I've been on that island 3 times now. The last one was just 2 months ago. Um, yes, it's technically a base. It's what probably the military would call one of their forward operating bases, but it's still rather small. After all, the size of the island itself is pretty small. You can walk around it in 30 minutes, really. And the biggest structure there is the runway, which is larger than the island. Um, the improvements there the past couple of years have really been meant to ensure that the facilities, the base, as well as the community um, is able to withstand lengthier periods of, say, like inclement weather when supplies will be running low. It's really to increase the resilience essentially of the facilities and the communities there, and that helps to ensure that our presence there is really maintained. I don't think it really will add to the strategic or military equation, shall we say, because the runway cannot accommodate a combat aircraft. It's really just for cargo aircraft for now, and maybe helicopters if they're available. But these improvements, they will not change the military balance, shall we say, in that area. So it's really just to ensure that the continuity of Philippine presence there on that island.
What about the Sierra Madre ship that's in the Second Thomas Shoal, which is, for the people watching who don't know, it's like this old World War II ship that has been essentially grounded on a shoal and is a kind of permanent base for the Philippines, but it's all there is this rusty old ship. What do you think is the future of that in terms of what the Philippines is going to do with it and how the Chinese military is going to react?
Mhm. Well, that one for me is the more critical point, no? In all of these outposts that we have. Um, it is clear that the Philippines needs to maintain its presence on Second Thomas Shoal. One, it deters another Chinese incursion. After all, the ship was grounded there precisely for that purpose. After they built after they took over Mischief Reef, about 25 nautical miles away, and that reef, Second Thomas Shoal, is between Mischief Reef, now the largest military base in the Spratlys, and Palawan. So it has that function of being able to monitor activities in the area as it was originally intended. And now it has acquired even greater significance symbolically because the way things have played out, the Sierra Madre, despite its decrepit nature, is the symbol of the Philippines' exercise of its jurisdiction in the West Philippine Sea, in our EEZ and our continental shelf. It is what indicates that we have sovereign rights over this area, and that's why China is really putting pressure on it to be removed. Not only so that the monitoring can be, will create another blind spot, but also because of that symbolic value. They want to do that to undermine Philippine jurisdiction, Philippine entitlements in the West Philippine Sea, Philippine jurisdiction over its EEZ, and it also would happen to also undermine the South China Sea Arbitration Award, which validated essentially Philippine jurisdiction over Second Thomas Shoal. So, because of that symbolic significance to both sides, no, it's actually, it could actually be a what do you call it, a hotter flashpoint, a more dangerous or more critical flashpoint than other places in the Spratlys for us.
Well, China certainly has been trying to interfere with resupply missions to the Sierra Madre, so it's clear they do consider that very important.
Yes, yes, and they've really been tightening the essentially tightening the noose around it. But the Philippines has expressed its intention to not allow itself to be deterred. We really need to try to keep our position there, not only for as long as possible, but permanently. And that's the other, potential crisis point. No? At, at some time in the future, as you said, no, the vessel might simply collapse. No? It's been there far longer than any other vessel that I know of in the open sea, exposed to the open sea. And some time we will have to make a decision, I think, on what to do to ensure that our position there is maintained.
If China continues to interfere with the resupply missions there, well, why can't the U.S. just airdrop supplies? Why hasn't the U.S. gotten involved in that?
Um, the Philippines has been using airdrops, although from our perspective, it's a little bit riskier because it's possible that the drop might miss, and or that now Chinese units might actually be able to interfere with that kind of an operation. So that's why, and besides airdrops, necessarily that will be a lower volume, lower amount of cargo that and supplies that you can bring when you do that. We have not called on the U.S. to assist with that because there's also that. I guess there's that sense of, number one is pride. This is our claim as well. It is our jurisdiction. It is our rights, no? And we want to do it on our own as much as possible. The other factor, I think, is that there are also concerns that having the United States so visibly involved might create a reaction on China's part. They've made it clear, for example, that they do not want any third party involvement in any kind of operation in that area. And at this point, I don't think anybody really knows what that would mean if there were actual third party participation, like if the United States, for example, very visibly or actually delivered supplies to that area. They already reacted rather badly to the mere presence of U.S. surveillance aircraft before during these supplies. They're already complaining about that. So I don't know how they would react if it were a U.S. vessel that is actually bringing the supplies to the Sierra Madre. But again, these are things that have to be considered at that critical point in the future when we have to make a serious decision on what to do with Sierra Madre.